Hope this is working. I'm down here kind of early because oh, cleaning people here. Yeah. Second, hold on. So this is the newest, I think, from yesterday. KDH concern troll. I don't know what to think about it. Lots of times this channel has some pretty good stuff, and then other times it's just some virtue signaling garbage. But this is B stock guitars. Are they worth it? That's pretty clickbaity kind of title. If you have a B stock guitar, it's usually something that's got some sort of blemish or something, and so it's sold sometimes for a little less money, sometimes for a lot less money. So I don't know. This is like one of those titles, like guitar strings. Are they worth it? Like, what do you mean? If you don't, I don't know. If you don't have strings on your guitar, it's not going to work. Yes, of course, B stock guitars are worth it if you want to play a good guitar and you don't want to pay full price. But let's see where this goes. I never know with this guy. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes this channel's pretty good. Sometimes he just takes on people for no reason. But whatever, it's his thing. Let's see.
Today we're going to talk about B-stock guitars. I've got a guitar here that was sold as B-stock and it's got a bit of a story to it.
That looked like a pretty big crack. I don't know if you call that B stock. That's like F minus stock, but maybe it's just a crack in the paint or something.
So
if I got it cheap enough, I wouldn't care. It's not like it's not going to get cracks in it anyway. I'm terrible at taking care of these things.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, and then we're going to go like one of these Christian church guitar channel things where they make you sit through them playing guitar for a while. Let's see.
Another.
Here we go, I think.
Hello and welcome back to another infrequent episode of Restring Sunday. It's where I take a guitar, restring it, and talk a little bit about it. I've done 15 or so of these, and there's a playlist linked somewhere on the screen at the moment. But today we've got a Yamaha Pacifica that was sold as a B-stock guitar, and I thought it would be a great time to talk about what B-stock guitars are, and are they really any good? Are they worth going for? This guitar's official name is the Yamaha Pacifica PAC 311H. The Yamaha Pacifica is kind of what I'd call the player's guitar. It's been around since 1990. That was the first introduction of this guitar, and frankly, it's always been really consistent. The Pacificas are really good guitars at any price point. There are expensive ones, but there are also cheaper ones. And this is one of the more budget-friendly, but still, it's got some solid features. And this one in particular...
Now, were the Pacificas made at World? I wonder. This is where it hurts me. It's like nowadays, I think last year you guys probably saw me going through and really modifying, customizing an Ibanez 7420 or something. I think that's the name of the guitar. I just really wanted the non-neck through body version of the same guitars that I always buy from World Industries, and in my case, the Agile, like the Interceptor, but not the Interceptor Pro. I have two Interceptor Pros that are great, but I'm starting to get old. I don't want to carry such a heavy guitar anymore. So I was just looking for the cheaper version. Like I have one 27-inch version. See, this is the bolt-on version of the Interceptor. I'm thinking if I can find a 725 neck for this thing. I think the bodies are the same. I just need a different neck. This is a 27-inch version. It's not bad, but I'd rather have a 25.5. I'd rather have a 24 3/4, honestly, but I couldn't find any guitars, so I had to pay, serious pre-pandemic neck through body price to get this piece of crap 7420, and I'm surprised how bad how bad Ibanez's quality control is at this point. It is bad. This is one of the Indonesian ones. I think it was one of the early ones before World had really moved all their stuff to Indonesia, maybe a different factory. Because I've seen some of the stuff from Harley Benton that comes out of the New World factories in Indonesia, and they're nice. This thing is, let me grab it. Actually, what I do like is that it's very light, but the tremolo is a total piece of junk, and it's not. It's not compatible with the regular Floyd Rose route. So I'm gonna try and have my friend reroute. I'll put a real Floyd in here. Good scallop. I really like this guitar. I played it on stage once. I made a big deal about getting it, and then I didn't end up playing it because I don't trust the tremolo. Anyway,
Particular was more budget friendly than most because it's B stock. So B stock is across every form of product, not just guitars or anything to do with music. You can get B stock anything. And all it means is that it's a product with some sort of flaw that wouldn't necessarily be the top level of quality that the company would like to put out. Now when it comes to guitars, the features on a B stock guitar tend to be something to do with either the wood, the finish, or maybe some damage, or sometimes a mixture of any and all three. This guitar kind of has all three of those boxes ticked off, but it's important to mention that what one company classes as B stock, another might not. It's a varying scale and it all depends on what the company itself thinks about what their A stock level is. Some companies are happy with lower level finishes, and some companies are okay with just a little bit of damage, and some people are not. Some companies like PRS, for example, their rule has always been pretty consistent. They don't put out B stock guitars or second guitars. They run them through the bandsaw, cut them up, throw them away.
Check the guitar over real thoroughly, make sure it meets spec. If it does not meet spec and we cannot repair it, we'll cut the guitar up.
you know, from an environmentalist point of view, that is pretty bad, man. That's actually sort of disgusting, honestly. Wow. Nice. I don't want to hear any virtue signaling from PRS there.
Otherwise, we'll make the necessary repairs and then it'll go off into the base coat spray room.
Let's oil this board. And also it's important to mention that not all companies call B-stock guitars B-stock. Sometimes they're called seconds. Gibson calls guitars seconds, and they mark their seconds guitars with a little stamp on the headstock that says 2. Whereas guitars like this, these aren't marked or anything. This is just, well, I mean, it's kind of obvious that there's something wrong with it, but these wouldn't be marked as B-stock. They just are sold as B-stock. And there's a couple of things that make this guitar B-stock. You've probably already noticed some of them. The sizable cracks in the finish down the guitar. These are big cracks. They're not structural to the guitar, but the finish, it's a crack through the finish. But it's actually not just these cracks that make it B-stock. Now what happened with this guitar is that this body was very clearly B-stock. It's got the cracks down the front of the finish, and there's also some cracking on the back as well. Not as severe as on the front, but the front does have significant cracks. They also had this neck that
It's like right on the screw holes. You know, that's where it scares me.
I think also would have been classed as B-stock, but they kind of just bolted these two together to make a full B-stock guitar. We'll show you the back of the neck, what I'm talking about. So right here, you kind of got, I don't know what it would be. Is it minerals or is it like a burn in the actual wood? But you've also kind of got this one very strong, very strange grain line, like
It's a
stitch
band,
of
right?
wood. I don't know what it is, but you can clearly see the grain go through it. So it's not like it's two pieces just kind of joined. It's a very strange piece. I actually quite like it. It's kind of where your thumb would go when playing on the back of the neck. But that would probably classify this neck as B-stock. So let me tell you the story about this guitar, because this is a really nice story, I think. So you've seen, if you've watched some of the Guitar Shopping in Ireland episodes, you've seen my local music store, Everest Music. And that guitar store is way better, like guitar wise, than it used to be. It used to be more piano focused, and there was a small section, maybe about like this wall size, of guitars. And one day, went in. This was bearing in mind that this guitar came out in 2015, so 9 years ago, and I think this was kind of that same year, so 2015. I went in and with my dad, and we saw this guitar hanging on the wall, and it was marked down for the obvious reasons of it being B stock for €99. Now, for reference, this guitar, if you were buying it today, I think is 530 something. So a significant discount, and I played it.
See, I have a big problem in that. To me, it's a Strat is a Strat. Like, okay, you could have better fretboard. Better fret material. You could have better workmanship and stuff, but in general, the stamped out Strats, especially from World or one of these, like Squires or whatever, they're pretty good. The tolerances are amazing compared to, I know you guys say that these guitars made in the 50s are magic or something, but honestly, the tolerances and specs on a modern like El Cheapo straight off the line guitar are so much better in any measurable way. Yes, you could have different pickups or whatever, but what makes one Strat $10,000 and another one $200? It always eludes me. To me, it's the same guitar. It's not going to play any really all that different. Sure, there's some bad this or bad that. The thing that's killing me right now is that I think you guys might know I play a lot of these agile guitars. Let me see if I can get overhead working here. So this is a 728, 28.6 inch scale, something like that. Of course, it's mine, so I've scalloped the hell out of it. Did some other mods. Now, pre-pandemic, I think this guitar was $700 or $800 or stuff. This is a company, Agile. It's these guitars were made by World, like pretty much every other guitar out there. And before the pandemic, they had a bolt-on version, like I just showed you, that purple one, for much cheaper. It was a much lighter guitar. There was a couple things that weren't built quite as good. But in general, I would love to have, again, a World. I tried to buy, like I said, I could only get that Ibanez. I couldn't find any World guitars. But when I went to get this one, it was on the website. I don't know why I bought a 28-inch scale guitar, honestly, but I played this guitar for a long time. I can't imagine what it would cost now. Now these things probably be like $3,000 or something. But this was just like this was like $700 up to like 2018. But this was on the website for like $250 or $290 or something. He said, because this is B stock and it had a blemish. And I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, man, this thing is beautiful. So I ordered it and I got it. And I said, Kurt, I sent him an email, the guy who owned that Rondo Music. And I was like, Kurt, I don't think this guitar is a B stock guitar. And he goes, oh yeah, there's some damage to the finish. And I'm like, where? And I don't care because I bang the guitars up anyway. And he said, can't even find it. He showed me a picture, and it was one of the corners of where the tremolo spring cover goes, and he said it was damaged. And I mean, I can't find it. And remember this, I've had this guitar for years. This thing's been banged up to all hell. Maybe the spring cavity fits in too far, but I mean, maybe by a millimeter. I still can't find what the B stock was on this guitar that caused it to drop $400 or $500 or whatever it is. I don't know. I still feel bad because he sent me a picture, and even the picture didn't really look like there was anything wrong with it. So I don't know. But so my main guitar now that I play, I've got some others since then, but like I got the Ibanez. This is the 25-inch version of that same guitar, neck through body. I couldn't find any used Interceptor 725s. And you know, there used to be all these ESPs, all these different bolt-on guitars you could buy from World that, you know, they were for peanuts. Now there's nothing, so that sucks. But anyway, that's my B stock story. Like, and I've got a couple B stocks. I've got guitars that weren't marked as B stocks that obviously were. Like this guitar, when I see a crack by a screw, like the one in this video, I don't know about B stock, man. That's like F stock.
And I thought it was nice, but
See.
I didn't buy it at the time that day. So I wanted to go back and get it. And when I got there, it was gone. Wasn't there. Very disappointed. And I don't know what month it is, but my guess would be kind of like September-ish, October-ish of 2015. And very sad, this guitar wasn't there. I missed out. Should have got it when I saw it. Because even with the damage, and that's kind of what this video is about, even with the damage on it, the physical that you can see, big cracks in the finish, this played really well.
This is why this is clickbait, man. Why should damage to a finish make the guitar not play well? Like, if you say it's B stock because there's a chunk of the nut missing or there's a big gouge in one of the frets, sure. But if it's a finish, if the neck wood looks funny, of course it's worth it. If you don't care about I mean, you saw those Glenn Fricker videos of these Gibsons and stuff where they don't paint it right or whatever, you know. Like I say, you guys know I bang around these. The second I get my hands on the guitar, I take a file to it and start scalloping it. So you know how I care about the finish, but... Is that the neck pick? Oh, it's the bridge pickup.
So I was a bit disappointed, and I was looking at it online, I remember, and it was more expensive than
Oh, he has horrible block heel, man. That's the thing, like these fenders and all this stuff. Like, this is why I play neck through bodies, because I can't stand that block heel. I actually use the whole guitar. So, Tall Man sells D stocks as non-playable wall art. Most twisted necks are very bad assembly issues. That's awesome. There's some companies. So I don't know if you guys saw last week, they were doing a video production class, and they needed a stunt acoustic to break on the ground for video. And I told them, you know, don't believe what you see in these stupid movies. Like, acoustics aren't these like balsa wood, you know, paper tigers that are just going to explode when you touch them. They're heavy. So they had to smash it over and over and over again to crack that thing. And yeah. I was like, you know, there are art guitars that explode easy if you hit them, but this wasn't one of them. This was like straight acoustic guitar from Goodwill or something. It's going to be hard to bust, and that thing's still hanging up there, and it is barely busted.
significantly more expensive than what I could have got it for, and I was kind of kicking myself for it, but is what it is. Oh well, can't get them all. And then Christmas morning that year came around, and this was there. So it turns out that the person who poached this guitar on me was my dad, and he bought it for me. And that's really cool, or at least I think it's really cool. So this is that guitar, and because of that, I do have
look at this awful block heel, man.
it, I suppose.
I can't see, and no matter how much you pay for a Fender Strat or whatever, you get that block heel, right? Like, why? Gross. And I have to see these Tollman guitars. Hold on. No, see, this is bad. But you know, this is going to show what's killing me is that before you used to actually be able to get from these guys. So if you're playing 6-string, Dean had these Vendettas for like $100, and they were absolutely killer guitars. We have people who learned how to play guitar on them and still play them. For $100, you got 24 frets, 2 humbuckers. Sometimes there are some issues, some fit and quality issues, but it was super easy to fix them. You'd never put more than $50 into them to get them playing as well as the guitars that you could buy for thousands of dollars. Like I still laugh at guitar valuation. So let's look at the electric guitars. Do we have? Is there something special like B stock? See, here's my problem. So I'm going to go to 7-string guitars here. And what I want is just a bolt-on Floyd Rose, bolt-on Floyd Rose 24 fret guitar. These things used to be like, you seriously, you could buy an Agile 725. See, the Time Prophet only sticks to 6 strings. And if I could still just play 6 strings, man, they are finally back on marketplace in like Facebook and stuff around here. And I seen some nice, I saw a very nice gem for like $200. Let's see. The Progressive Series. You want a Floyd Rose. Let's see what they say. So I want 25.5-inch scale. Is that 647 to 648, I think. Tremolo, yes. Okay, so here we go. So now, what used to be a super crowded market that had all kinds of stuff on here, it's now got peanuts on it. I bought a bass because I got fed up with faking bass at Easy Bass. I bought a bass too. I bought a it was sitting over at the music store. I don't know why I bought this thing when there's always like 5-string Ibanez's on Facebook marketplaces, but I bought a Fender Squier that's supposed to look like a Music Man, and that thing has been an amazing studio instrument. Let's look at this Jackson. Let's see. JS22 RR satin black. Says tremolo. If that doesn't look like a tremolo. I mean, it could be some crap Fender tremolo or something. King satin black. See, I don't want to buy these Ibanez's, man. I'm surprised at how horrible the quality control was on it. Yeah, and see, look, the rest of these are all crazy money. You used to be able to buy these ESPs, the LTD or whatever, with the bolt-on. Yeah, man, see, I just don't see it. Guitars and basses. Let's look for, how do we find B stock? I really want to see the D stock. He got his guitars wrecked by his girlfriend. Oh, here we go. So, yeah, if you want a 6-string, look at these things, man. Oh, ouch! $4,000 for a B stock. Okay. That's the goodies on here. Oh, look at that. How are the Jacksons using weird proprietary tremolos, or are they use Floyd Rose size and shape tremolos? I don't care if it comes with the Floyd Rose special. I'm fine with that because you can just drop it in another Floyd or a Magoto or whatever. Anyway, let me get out of here. Sorry. Mainly play my Line 6 Pod Go now, and it's great for recording through. Yes. Um, I I'm doing a lot of mixing at a kind of a popular place in Hawaii, and when people bring on modelers like Podgoes or whatever, the night goes so well. And it's like the people who bring those modelers up, they've taken some time to like really think about their sets and program in exactly what they want, and it just sounds like a record. There's not a bunch of excess crap volume from these open back cabinets blaring all over the stage. The vocal mic doesn't become an auxiliary guitar mic. Every mic on stage doesn't become an auxiliary guitar mic. And then the sound, it's the recorded sound of a guitar. It's beautiful. It comes out the PA speakers. The audience is happy. We're happy. Stage volume is lower. Front of house volume is lower. I get in some trouble because I do set front of house kind of quiet compared to other mixers, but I think people enjoy it. Pro 2, so I don't even see those things anymore. I wish. It's like during the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, as far as I could understand, they were closing out the Korean factory for World and starting to move everybody to Indonesia. And the Indonesian guitars that I've seen so far, they're great, but they cost more than the Korean ones did. And I tell you, the Koreans were fanatics, man. I mean, at the level of the Japanese were in the 80s and 90s when it comes to building these guitars. They loved their guitars, and every video you saw of World, it's like you had to yank the guitar out of the factory worker's hand because they just love these guitars. And it shows, man. I have $300 guitars that are absolutely unbeatable. Yeah, see, you're not going to see any of those Japanese area pros anymore, sadly. Even some of the off brands like the Vestax or Vestafire or whatever the things were called, Vester guitars, man, they were unreal. All right, let's see if there's
It's just one
anything
of those
worth.
nice memories, and it helps that this guitar is actually really good. This is a Yamaha Pacifica 311H, and they had, at the time, I think it was a
It's just babbling.
611H. I think they still do that as well. That was like the more expensive version. It had Seymour Duncan pickups and had like a flame maple.
Okay,
The
come on, let's get to
lower
if they're
level
worth it.
but
Come on.
still good version, because like, look at the features we have, which is quite unusual. Really do enjoy a P90 in the neck. It sounds stern. Okay, the nut, that is a Graphtec Tusk nut, so like that's €15 on itself. Then the string trees, they're also Tusk from Graphtec. That's
What
another
tuners are
10.
those?
So already, what, we're 25 in. The tuners are Grover locking tuners. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this particular type of locking tuner, but do you know what? Those tuners are what? Like
How does that one
€80
lock? You
already?
lock it from
So
the top?
just on the headstock and nut from here is like more than what was paid for the guitar. So already, amazing deal. But a guitar came with it, and it's a good playing guitar. It's a maple neck and a rosewood fingerboard. I believe this is actual rosewood. It looks like actual rosewood. The body is alder. It's actually got quite a bit of weight to it, but it's not like super uncomfortable in weight-wise. It's just kind of a... It's not a light guitar, but it's not a really heavy guitar.
Yeah, this is where I really start to fall apart because I want these 7 strings. I want the feel of a neck through or an all access neck. But I want a really light guitar, and the necks aren't really going to get that much lighter. So they start diving. And so if you look at all my guitars, the electronics cavity is loaded up with fishing weights, because I basically play my guitar pointing straight up and down. On stage, not quite that pointy, but most of the time I'm playing with the guitar, pretty much playing like this. This is how I play for the most part. On stage, it's a little bit less, but yeah, it takes, like this guitar. This is a very light guitar, so I had to put fishing weights in the cavity down here. This one, I can't remember. Do I put a Oh yeah, I put that USB charging type. I put those Fishman batteries in all my guitars now, or at least this one and the other 2 that I normally play. Hofner Shorty has a heavy neck. Yeah, see? And 7 strings are going to be heavy necks anyway. And if I put like locking tuners on, they're even heavier. I don't know about this video.
And the finish is also this vintage white. It's more of a... It's kind of what...
All right,
a
this
white
is
would look
getting
like if it
boring.
had a
I just got a
nightclub on it.
message from
It's
our
not pure white. When you hold it
coder.
against something that is white, you do notice
Got
a
a
big
new
difference,
version
like
of,
significant
let's
difference
pull this
in
up.
white versus the vintage white. Now, since this release, I think there's been versions of this with the Tram, but this is the hardtail version. But I think this alone kind of speaks to, you can get really good guitars if they're B stock. This is a very good guitar. It's a very good playing, well playing guitar. It just happens to be damaged.
All right, so I'll just skip to the end, I guess, because I'm not going to bother watching this crap. B stock guitars, are they worth it? Yes, they're worth it. Easy. I mean, it's like, is water wet? Whatever. If it's not, if the guitar's in good shape and it's just got a paint blemish like that green one that I still can't find what the B stock part was, yes, it's worth it. All right. So that was boring. Let me go on to here. Our developer just sent a new build. Man, I've seen some crazy travel guitars lately, with the ones where the tuners are inside the near where your pickups would be. Those are pretty cool. But let me see. Where's the recent? Just had a testing iconic tester. Okay, here we go. So just got a new version of iconic reverb. This is something we pulled off our website right now because I want to make some significant changes to it. Now he's got the debug window up here. I'm not sure why. Let me see. Oh, because okay. Yeah, that is definitely Reaper. For obvious reasons, right? It's not like I'm gonna have another DAW up here. Well, actually, that's not true. Sometimes I do run other DAWs to test things, but of course, I'm always going to go back to my baby, right? So this is our reverb. I wanted to add a function. Yeah, okay. So reverberate. There's a reason. There's a reason that reverberate is like it is. In fact, this is going to share a lot of. This is what I wanted reverberate to be by like Reaper version 2, but we never really got there. I see you, Fu Ninja. You know, I had shown Justin the manual for the Digitech TSR 24, and I think it's called the 2101 at the time. It had this thing called Ultra Reverb or Ultimate Reverb, and you could really set all of your parameters and stuff. And there's a lot of other stuff to do in Reaper at the time, so it's never really got there. It's just like multi-band gate, you know. But one of the things I really wanted was just like in that manual, and Justin said this would all be easy enough to do. It's just we didn't have development time for it. There's so much other stuff to do. But basically, in the TSR 24s and stuff, you could create different envelope shapes, or you could pick between a set of preset envelope shapes. And I figured, you know, the presets are great, but if we just make a 3-point system right here, you could make any of those shapes that you wanted, and you could have a lot more of them as well. So this is the ER shape you can make here yourself. But lately I've been wanting to. Oh yeah, so this is a project template right here. This is the template I use for testing my reverb plugins. I have insane amounts of templates, man. Not just project templates, but track templates as well. Like if I insert track from template, I have piles and piles of multi-track templates that for like mixing drums or whatever, but also project templates. But I wanted to add in this version of Iconic. If you had a reverb you really liked and you had an impulse of it, I want to be able to pull it up. So in this case, find where these impulses are. You know, really always after these gates, right? So what I wanted is a way that if you had an impulse, you could actually compare it. Oh shoot! Yeah, I just messed up. That wasn't what I was supposed to do. This is let me remove this. Hopefully this doesn't poof. There was anytime we have the debug window up, there's a good chance this thing's gonna poof. Let me check the sample. Okay, good. Okay. So I wanted this compare button. So if you pulled up an IR, impulse response, you could compare it to it. So here's my big gated reverb, and so you should be able to compare the reverb that you got right now. So I wanted to make it so that, yeah, you could compare. So here's what this impulse looks like. Here's a heat map, you know, frequency versus time versus level. Here's the reverb that's currently on here. It's like, you know, make it longer. I wanted to be able to compare with so you could pretty much capture. It's not like an amp model or something, but you could by hand kind of get something sounding like the impulse that you liked. So you could use this reverb to pretty much make anything. One of the things I wanted to think about, and I don't know if you guys like this or not. Yeah, Iconic is a paid. It's from my new company. But actually, it's not paid right now because you can't buy it because we're still working on it. But if you like it, go try a demo. Actually, there's no demos yet, but we are going to need some testers. So if you're interested in, I will happily send you a license. You can try this out. But I want to see what you guys think. So here's a way of comparing. So first of all, I know that there's a lot of high frequency energy at the beginning of the impulse response I'm looking at. So let me I'm going to pull up one of the EQs in here. And this is a little bit confusing. There's 3 different EQs. There's the early reflection EQ, the iconic EQ, which is like the overall EQ, and there's the tail EQ, which is the late reflections. It is written in C++, and it's heavily dependent on the juice code. Are you a C++ coder? So let me crank up band 4. Why isn't that going? Take the compare out. Is EQ doing anything? Oh, okay. I might have found a bug. Okay, so it's supposed to have a shelf now. Yeah, high shelf. Okay. So added a shelf. I don't see this EQ doing anything. I think this is broken. But you know. Oh, awesome. Yeah, man. Always looking for more programmers. So this was an idea we had, was to a show difference button. It doesn't seem to be working either. Hold on. Let me get out of the EQ. Use a compare. This version just isn't working. So show difference. Okay, here we go. It's only working in certain windows, which is goofy. But if I hit show difference, it's going to show kind of a heat map of the 2 different reverbs. And this isn't really working exactly right. That's why this is just a morning's build. We'll communicate about what's going right and what's not right. But it shouldn't be showing something different in compare than not compare. It's just in the compare mode that it shows it. Hold on. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Okay, so I'm in compare, show difference. And so the idea between this is, like, you see this pink part right here, to try and really show level-wise what's the difference between the 2 reverbs. But I think I'm going to have to make it swing to one color if depending on which one's louder, because it's confusing right now. And main developers thinking that the other tools are enough to make this work, so we don't really need this difference one. But right now, so you fix the EQ, we put in a shelving EQ, but it doesn't seem like the EQ is working. Let me Q's going. High pass, yeah. Oh, so high pass is working. High pass is working, but the individual band. Oh, that band's working. Now the bands are working. No, the top 2 bands aren't working. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm okay if it breaks on the live stream, because that's what we're doing. We're testing here. But let me tell them. Bands 4 and 5 don't seem to be working. Down. See if run some noise through here. Hold on. White noise. Let's see. See if these higher bands do anything. Data compare. Not hearing the EQ do anything. Yeah, I think this got you say disconnected. Let me try the tail reverb real quick. Let me try some pink noise real quick. Oh, okay, sorry. Pilot error there. Okay, so the tail EQ is definitely working. Okay, that band's working. Yeah, 4 and 5 just aren't doing anything. Let's see about the high pass. Low pass, sorry. Yeah, I don't think the low pass is working either. Okay, well, that's enough for that test. So, what did he say? Okay, probably shouldn't open old settings with this. This has more peak filters and they can be switched to shelves. So, I think band 1 and let's see, band 1. Can you switch to a shelf? Oh yeah, okay. Shelf. Tell you, shelf will peak. I've picked low shelf and it's still looking like a peaking EQ. Let's turn everything off here. So I have it set to low shelf or high shelf. Here's low shelf. Here's peak. It's all doing the same thing. It's not just a reverb and an EQ. There's actually several EQs on this reverb. That's part of it. Part of it, I really wanted what you could do with the I don't know. There's like I think it was Harman bought like a bunch of different companies, and they started putting the DSP into the lower end products. And like Digitech always wanted to be kind of this user friendly thing, so they made this like super easy to set up type of reverb back then. And I mean, it didn't have anywhere near the power we have today, but what I want to be able to do is I want the power of shaping that you can do with like an icon, an IR reverb, like reverb, Reaper's reverb. But when you scale them, things fall apart. I wanted it to be a DSP reverb that you could control like an impulse EQ. So if you take a look here, there's 3 bands here, high band, mid band, and low band. And they each have their own envelope controls. You can just add, how do you want this thing to go? When we did have this on the site for a while, what a lot of people were doing is they weren't using the early reflection controls. They're doing something like this. They would draw the initial early reflections themselves, matching some other, usually an impulse or something. You could draw your early reflections in there instead of using the early reflections here. That was one thing you could do. And you used to have a zoom button here. I think we took it out because it really wasn't doing anybody any good. But the ER envelope, you could zoom in on it. I think that's gone now. But yeah, you make your ER shape, your early reflection shape, however you want. Pretty simple 3-point system, you know. And then you shape the tail however you want. So that's the low. Here's the high. And you can also not just, so this is amplitude over time right here. But you can also, so that's the amplitude, but you can also change the, like, so this is for the low band. So let's say a high pass filter. You could make it so that over time, right now it's just flat, but over time you could have it starting to high pass out all the lows. You have a lot of control over here. Usually you see it in like crossover time and everything. You have all the decays and stuff. I want to do it visually. So you could say, oh, I want my high pass to go up over time. So start filter the lows out. Or maybe even after the initial hit, man. You want you say, look, I only need the lows at this very beginning part. Just filter them out after that. You got the other bands are doing the same thing. Let's switch to the amplitude envelope. So hard not to say amplitude, right? Yeah. So yeah, Reaper plugins never really were GUI stuff. Like none of us were art guys. It wasn't until like version 2 or 3 White Tie came along, and he made this mock-up. I'm sure it's still in the forum, but he took the regular replugs and like made this mock-up of the most beautiful GUIs you've ever seen. They never ended up going on there, but I think people put them on JS on some stuff. But yeah, Reaper's graphics has never really got anywhere. I mean, we were just thrilled that we could theme it and stuff, but yeah. Maybe one day the replugs will be, but you know, that's why, like, I wanted multiband gate in by at least by Reaper 2. And, you know, now we got it, but, not in Reaper. We just had to make it ourselves. Anyway, that's what this reverb does. It lets you just have complete control over how the timing of all the different, frequencies are going to go. So the trouble is that unless you really, 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 really understand every one of these parameters, you're probably not getting a reverb that you want. And that's why I wanted to make this compare feature so you could just load up an IR that you liked, see what it looks like, and then you can get a lot closer. Let's see, record. So, for instance, like, you know, I wanted this plate setting from the TCM 5000. And here's what it looks like, you know, and you could be able to try and match up. But again, it's tricky. So what I think we're going to have to do is have a bunch of presets already made so they can just wiggle them from there. And yeah, that's why we really got to get some strong presets in here because man, this thing is complicated. The main feature here for me is that once I get it the way I like, I can change this reverb time. If you've ever used like, so for instance, reverb. Oh, what is that? See, I just poofed. Haha. Oops. Let me just, it just poofed from, well, um, if you ever tried like SIR or Reaper's own reverb, or I have usually when I'm doing like impulses. Just gonna loop the snare. Okay, so here if I like this reverb, but I want to change, kind of make it fit the timing of the song. Trim, gain, stretch. Okay. See how it explodes into just grainy nonsense? That's the trouble with, like, I'm perfectly happy with impulse reverbs, honestly. It's just if I want to time it to the song that I'm working on, I can't because of that. You see that it just turns all grainy on the long end and completely uselessly dense on the short end, right? So with Iconic, you can, when it doesn't crash. You know what? The debug window's here. I should have got a crash report from that poof, but I didn't. You can get your reverb the way you want, but when you change the reverb time, you're still keeping the same character, but it doesn't turn all grainy and gross. So in fact, I'll just show you. Shorter. There's no grain. Like, it doesn't turn all grainy and yucky. Right? I can change the reverb time, and it's going to change the reverb time rather than make this awful gross thing. So that's why this reverb's here. Because I have a set of impulses I normally use for mixing, and like you see, if it's not close enough, like, you can stretch them a little bit before they start to mess up, but you just saw me go from like half a second to 15 seconds, and it's still the same character reverb. It's just longer or shorter. So that's what I'm working on. I'm gonna actually, I got a bunch of stuff to do this morning. I'm gonna take off time profit. Let me know. Yeah, it's interesting that you're coding stuff. That's I don't know how busy you are, but we're always willing to talk. And if you're really interested in this reverb and you're a Reaper user, email me at pipelineaudio@aixdsp.com and let me know. I'd like to talk to you. But I'm going to take off. I'll talk to Dave and see if I can't figure out why this thing's poofing. And like I say, I don't really know that we want this difference thing. It's a really great idea in theory. I just don't know if we want to spend a lot of development time on that. We got some other stuff to do.